we've already talked about Etsy and how they are doing they've already booked a Super Bowl ad for tonight. And I saw a few interesting articles this week about whether or not that's a good move for the company. Obviously, Etsy stock not doing so hot these days. So this article, I'm a little bit bummed because at first I was able to see the whole article, and now I think I'm like tapped out on how many times I can refresh. So now the article, I can only see like the first few paragraphs or something, so that's kind of a bummer. It's an opinion piece, so an editorial. Etsy drifts further away from its roots with first Super Bowl ad. The online marketplace was once all about handcrafted, artisanal, and vintage items. That has changed. Certainly has. We're seeing a lot of drop-shipped, mass-produced crap on Etsy, and Etsy seems to let those shops fly a lot of the time. Also, there's a ton of IP infringement, like people doing licensed stuff, so that's kind of interesting. So if you want to click on this article, also everything I'm referring to is linked in the description box. If it's your first time going to MarketWatch, you should be able to read this article in full. I just can't because I guess I've looked at it too many times. So it says Etsy, oh yeah, the Etsy stock, okay. Etsy Inc., once known as a quirky marketplace for handmade, artisanal, and vintage items, seems to be moving further away from its origins amid a much tougher e-commerce landscape and the impact of AI. That's also a good point because there's a lot of AI art popping up everywhere, so they got to deal with that. Etsy will be marketing to a whole new audience on Sunday when its first Super Bowl commercial will run. The 30-second ad is quirky. It depicts a generic 19th century American leader who's flummoxed over how to reciprocate France's gift of the Statue of Liberty. With the help of an anachronistic smartphone, he and his team... Okay, yeah, so see, this is annoying. I'm not going to pay $1 a week. Sorry, MarketWatch. I did find another article, though, that has kind of a similar vibe, so we'll read that one. This is from wallstreet.com. Okay, so it says... Etsy's strategic shifts and challenges raise concerns among analysts. Etsy's Super Bowl ad in gift mode launch signals strategic shifts amid layoffs and growing marketplace changes. All right, key takeaway. Etsy's first Super Bowl ad and new gift mode feature mark a strategic pivot to broaden its audience amid layoffs and intense e-commerce competition. That is an interesting point because Etsy is kind of seen as like a niche thing, like people who like the handmade, more like personal vibe with buying things. But it obviously doesn't have like the broad appeal of like Amazon or Walmart or like, your kind of more mainstream e-commerce sites. Analysts express concerns over Etsy's growth challenges, including competition from new entrants like Temu and the effectiveness of gift mode. Seller and buyer discontent grows as Etsy drifts from its artisanal roots, risking its unique value proposition in pursuit of growth. That's another good point. Like, the whole point of Etsy was that the stuff was handmade and like one of a kind. And now if you go on Etsy, you're seeing all kinds of stuff that is not handmade, not one of a kind. You got the print on demand people, the pod people, and now you got AI art. So it's not even really like AI art really isn't, using someone's individual creativity. So that is a really good point about that. All right, let's see here. Okay. Etsy Inc., once celebrated for its unique marketplace of handmade, artisanal, and vintage items, is navigating through a period of significant transformation and mounting challenges. The company's recent decision to air its first Super Bowl commercial and introduce a new user interface featuring gift mode, which is powered by AI, while innovative, underscores a series of desperate attempts to rejuvenate growth amidst a fiercely competitive e-commerce landscape and changing consumer spending habits. All right, Super Bowl splash or cash drain. Etsy's foray into Super Bowl advertising, a notoriously expensive marketing endeavor, raises questions about the company's strategic priorities and financial prudence. The quirky 30-second ad aimed at showcasing Etsy's new gift mode feature represents a bold move to capture a broader audience. However, this comes at a time when Etsy has announced plans to lay off 11% of its staff, suggesting a potential misalignment between the company's cost-cutting measures and its marketing expenditures. Yeah, it's like, okay, you're laying off 11% of your workforce, and then you're also blowing $7 million plus on a Super Bowl ad. Some people might see that as being kind of disconnected. Bernstein research analyst Nikhil Devnani expressed concerns over growing competition from new entrants like Temu, highlighting the pressures Etsy faces as its gross merchandise sales have begun to slip. Our main concern with Etsy is growing competition in the space, Devnani stated, pointing to the challenging road ahead for the company. Gift mode, a risky bet. Etsy's emphasis on gift mode, a feature that combines generative AI and human curation to offer gift suggestions, is a strategic gamble. While CEO Josh Silverman is optimistic about the feature's potential to attract buyers, the broader question remains, how often do consumers shop for gifts? Analyst Naved Khan of B. Riley Securities believes gift mode plays to Etsy's strengths, yet the company's niche positioning and seasonal nature of gift shopping could limit its effectiveness in driving sustained growth. Seller and buyer discontent. Amidst these strategic shifts, Etsy faces growing discontent from both sellers and buyers. Complaints about declining search capabilities, the influx of mass-produced items, and the challenges posed by AI-generated art have become increasingly common. These issues not only dilute Etsy's unique value proposition, but also risk alienating its core user base. Furthermore, the recent addition of Mark Steinberg from activist investor Elliott Management to Etsy's board signals potential pressure to prioritize short-term gains over the marketplace's long-term integrity. The fear among sellers that Etsy may further open its doors to mass-produced products underscores the delicate balance the company must strike between growth and maintaining its unique identity. I think they brought up a lot of interesting points in the article. There has been a real issue with mass-produced items, not handmade stuff, and I can see how that can turn away potential customers because the whole point of shopping on Etsy was to get like small businesses, handmade sellers, and to support them. But if people are suspicious and skeptical about them actually supporting those types of businesses, are they going to shop on Etsy? Good question. All right, let me get some water real quick. All right, let's check out a comment from Denise. I don't think Etsy can or should try to compete with Amazon or Temu. They should focus on handmade or curated items. They won't be able to out Amazon. Generally, I'm staying away from Temu. Yeah, I've never shopped at Temu personally. And that was the whole draw of Etsy, was the fact that it was supposed to be this like very small curated marketplace for handmade goods. And it doesn't seem to be that anymore. Like, let's be real. I see so much stuff on Etsy where I'm like, yeah, no. Just no. I think the other thing about the gift mode thing is I don't know how much people actually spend on shopping for gifts. I don't spend that much money purchasing gifts. I maybe buy something as a gift on Etsy maybe 1 to 2 times a year, and they're not large purchases. So I don't tend to be a big spender on Etsy for gift stuff, although that may also be my own bias because I am a maker myself. I tend to make gifts. So I don't really need, like, people like us who are makers don't necessarily need to go to Etsy because we're making our own gifts. So, like people who are in those spaces themselves, they might not be the best potential customer for handmade stuff on Etsy. I don't know.